Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have a really cool prototype preview for you today from the brand Axios. A little bit about them: they were founded back in 2019, and essentially it's by a similar team from behind the scenes from the brand Zelos, which was founded in 2014. So you'll probably see some similarities within the design language, within the fit and finish. But Axios is pretty much kind of, I'd say they're targeting more of the entry level side of the house, and I'm not mad at it because Zelos already offers really great value and bang per buck. So you can imagine Axios is a bit of an extension of that, if not even more of a targeted, value add. Now, this particular model is, for me, a bit of a next level in terms of value. It's not out yet. It's actually coming to Kickstarter this month in April. So make sure you guys check them out. Now, the type of watch this is an everyday adventure watch. I'd consider some key common characteristics in design language when you're looking for something within that realm. Of course, you're going to want that blend of sporty, legible, and toughness, because it's, yeah, you kind of want that. So yeah, I'm digging these. They are prototypes. They were sent in by Axios very kindly. Since they're prototypes, I'm pretty sure I won't be able to keep these, but happy to share them with you right now. In terms of pricing, all I know is that for their first tier, they are planning for $249. Yes, that's right. Under $250 for some pretty capable specs. When you think about it, they flashed across the screen earlier, but generally, I mean, you're getting Sapphire, you're getting a hacking hand-windable Seiko movement, you're getting 200 meters of water resistance through a screw-down crown, C3X1 Superluminova, and then all of that within a pretty impressive package in terms of fit and finish. So with all that said, let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get these pieces in hand, and take a closer look. All right, first thing to note is this is currently on a Haviston strap. I'm a big fan of Haviston, and they support the channel as well by making sure that I'm up to date on all their latest releases. And I featured this new Parade strap from their line not too long ago, and I figured it would be a good pairing. The watch doesn't come with this strap. It pretty much just came with the watch head, and then also came with the bracelet there. But I figured it'd be a good pairing, so shout out to Haviston. They also make these cool little watch-oriented coasters, which can be used for your bench or your for your drinks. But anyways, we have these two very, very cool pieces, and I'm just for me, I actually agreed to take a look at these before I even knew the pricing. And once I found out they were targeting $249, I was like, yes, I need to share these with the viewers. This is what people look for. I mean, it's really why people go so crazy about micro brands when you think about what they can offer. Some of you might be thinking, okay, cool field watch. Some of you might be thinking, wow, I was going to spend some money on a Seiko Baby Alpinist, or even on a Zelos watch. There's the Horizons 39 Field. That is, pretty hard to get a hold of, but they're pretty awesome as well, from the same house, but with different movements and whatnot. These are going to be more on the affordable side in terms of the movement with the NH35, but also on the more affordable side in terms of you picking one of these up. So we do have kind of a nice white, slightly ivory creamy dial, and then of course a black dial, both of them with those really nice kind of matte sand textures to them. So you're going to get some dimension. You're also going to get nicely raised indices. They could be applied, but they look awesome. And then you're getting, of course, a bit of a creamy tint onto the lume. Some of you will consider that faux Tina, and some of you will just figure in that that's just color play and color palette choices. I think the warmer tone does give it some character, of course, and helps keep these a little bit more legible, especially considering that they do have the polished surrounds. The nice thing is they're very thoughtful. For the white dial model, you can see it actually has kind of a black chrome, so there's like a tint to the polished surrounds, as well as the handset. Here you're going to get the more traditional, just fully polished and reflective side for the surrounds on the indexes, as well as the handset. So very briefly, these have cool dimensions: 39 millimeters, 12.2 millimeters thick, 47 millimeters lug to lug. And yeah, that's not bad at all. Of course, you're getting 316L stainless steel. It's brushed with a high polished chamfer, as you can see. Beautiful bevel there, and then even around this fixed bezel, quite nice. Getting screw down crown, signed. I mean, this is a clean package. Also, you're getting this really interesting, when I look at this bracelet, it makes me think more diver than field watch. But I understand, 5-link bracelets are very traditional within the realm of, field watches and pilot's watches, which this watch, the Pathfinder, really falls within kind of that military inspired look. So I dig that. You also get flat sapphires with inner AR coating. Again, such a value add at this price point. The case back is solid and very deeply stamped. You see a cool little Pegasus there on the back. And let me pop this open. And you can see, yeah, it's a prototype, 000 serial number. Very cool from that standpoint. I'm sure the ones you guys will get will have a number on them, considering these are coming to Kickstarter. That's a nice thing. Some people do not like Kickstarter. I'm not the hugest fan, but one thing I will say is when you do basically prepay, you can guarantee you're going to get the watch. That's not something you can always say when, let's say, their sister brand Zelos puts out a watch. If you don't get it within kind of those first 48 hours or less, those watches are gone, and they're gone for a while. So that is the nice thing about getting you guys a sneak peek at this right before they post to Kickstarter, because yeah, you're gonna get a chance to secure a spot for a very affordable watch that is absolutely very wearable and versatile, which I dig. Now that dial, let's just take a closer look. Some great details there, guys. You do get that nice outer track index, and then you're still getting the indices as well as the numerals, and then also as kind of the spots and dots there. So it does go all the way around. You're going to get a little bit more visibility, and you can see, of course, there's going to be Lume there, which I dig. And you can even see here the handset is quite readable, which I dig. And because it's honestly, it can get tough sometimes recording, because let's say here you can see the reflection coming off of a black lens is going to read very black. So sometimes it's tough from a camera perspective, although in real life and regular lighting, absolutely very easy and legible to read. But yeah, I'm digging this. Again, C3X1 Super Lume. So this is going to be very, very bright. 200 meters of water resistance, screw down crown, 20 millimeter lugs. Goodness gracious. It just makes it a strap monster out of the box. It doesn't have drilled lugs, but it does help keep the lines quite clean and cohesive there. So not too upset with that. But that's always something that people do look for in these types of watches. But at the price point, how can you complain? A little bit more about this cool steel bracelet. Here it is, pretty well articulated. We'll get it on wrist and get into the details as far as the wear comfort, but you do get manual micro adjust holes, which is great. And also you're getting, again, more fine finishing. You're getting that nice bevel along the edges of the clasp there. Everything is fully milled, nothing stamped. And I can appreciate that. So with that said, let's actually clear the desk off here, get these on wrist, and see how they wear. All right, as you can see on my 7 1/4 inch wrist, This wears really, really well. I like that it doesn't seem undersized whatsoever. But at the same time, it absolutely isn't oversized. It has a nice bold typeface there. Really well balanced. It does squeeze a little bit of that information towards the center of the dial to help it not feel oversized. And then, of course, it generally already has a pretty svelte silhouette there at 39 millimeters. And even the thickness at 12 millimeters, not super thick, but definitely it's the way it compartmentalizes case versus, I should say, mid case versus bezel versus the case back definitely helps break down the silhouette and the shape and gives you a little bit of visual interest to have your eye take a look at. And then, of course, we have it on NATO here. You can see it doesn't like lift the watch too far off of the wrist or anything like that. Still totally livable and doable, wearable. And then the warm, creamy tones do make it easier to pair with more earthy tones like this nice olive drab from the Haviston Parade strap there. So I think it looks great, guys. I'm digging it. Feels really nice on the wrist. I will say that if I was to like run my fingers across the bracelet, it's definitely more angular, so it's not going to be super smooth, kind of beads of rice like. But I think that's kind of the point. The flat brushing, the angular little surfaces with high polished touches. They're a little bit softer, as you can see, in terms of style. Towards the center, and then towards the outer links are going to be more so flat link style. So they're meant to be a little bit sharp. Now, sharp, not in an unfinished way, but sharp definitely more in, that was kind of the whole point of the execution. But look at the light show this bracelet puts on. Cannot get mad at that. So with all that said, digging these, let's get them off the wrist and, get some low light transition, Lume shots, closing thoughts, and let's do it. All right, let's go ahead and hit the lights here. As you can see, the Lume is extremely strong there. X1 grade. What more can I say? So looks great. Great initial brightness, great longevity, and even through that little bit of that mustard tint in terms of the colorway, while it is not lumed, it looks great. And then when you get it in the darkness and the lume starts to glow, it also still looks wonderful. One thing I do like to work in during these Lume shots is some low light transition, because you're not always going to be out in the middle of a field enjoying direct sunlight, which these hot studio lights do a very good job of kind of simulating. I also want to show you guys what these will look like in transitional lighting, and just less than optimal lighting in general, because that's where you're probably going to spend a lot of your time with these watches, whether you're indoors in less than optimal lighting, or just walking underneath an overhang, maybe the shade of a tree, spending time in your favorite automobile. You're going to be able to see how these textures render on those dials, the colors, how they render in a little bit more mixed lighting conditions, even harsher lighting, high contrast like you're going to see here right now, which typically will expose any type of imperfections and whatnots. Not too many here. I mean, if any, I think you can see that brushing is really nice. You get the circular brushing there on the very top of the bezel, so it's always going to render that way as steel. Sometimes when you have the polish ring around that top portion, it kind of makes things disappear and they reflect black. So I do think that's nice, that any type of reflection would come off of that outer chamfer. So you're always going to have kind of that break between the dial and the bezel in terms of just the general look and feel of the watch at angle. Look at the way the light dances off of the brushing on the bezels. Very nice from that standpoint. Also, the light very uniformly coming across the brushing on the bracelet. So digging that. You can see even in kind of this transitional time here, still very much legible from that standpoint, and I dig that. Okay, guys, so closing thoughts on the wrist, very classic proportions and wear, great kind of vintage retro aesthetic. It's a little bit of old meets a little bit of the new, and that's honestly what micro brands have really specialized in these days. And then you kind of insert value proposition, and it's very good, guys. Model variants, definitely check the site and links for current availability. I mean, as of filming this right now, there still isn't the Kickstarter page up yet that I know of. Oh, excuse me. But definitely keep an eye out. Take a look at their site. I'll leave a link there. In terms of comparable models, guys, this definitely is right there in the same vein with the Seiko Prospex Baby Alpinist, even down to that 200 meters of water resistance and the screw down crown. And that's definitely on the mainstream side, something that would be very comparable in terms of size, in terms of spec, and then of course general aesthetic. And then there's of course a bevy of micro brand contenders, to include their own stablemate from their sister brand Zelos, in the Horizons 39 Field Watch. I think this kind of is more of a traditional and also accessible option, just because it is cheaper, and then the looks are a little bit less polarizing than kind of the similarly constructed Zelos watch, which I loved and purchased. So this in comparison is definitely an affordable variant that I think a lot of people will enjoy, and if not enjoy more, if they were into less of the I guess the signature Zelos look, where it's really pushing the boundaries in terms of design. This is going to be a little bit more restrained. Of course, not derivative by any means, but definitely not pushing the envelope in that same way. And I think that's what a lot of people like. They like kind of that more traditional balanced look, especially for something that they are going to put out a little chunk of change for. And if they can save money on that, even better. So for me, guys, the bottom line here, these watches are not just good Axios watches. I really consider these a shining example of why so many of us love micro brands and the value propositions they're able to deliver. And then you take that, from a spec standpoint, you take AR coated sapphire, 200 meters of water resistance, textured dials, raised indices, applied indices, 5-link bracelets, all these cool things, deep stamped case back, hacking hand windable movement. You take all of those specs that and those are really objectively good things for an objectively good price, and you wrap them in this kind of cool, uniquely reimagined classic aesthetic, and I think it's a winner. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like the video, please do hit like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.